Hey y'all, it's me. So I'm eating my dinner, and I cooked some sweet potato fries for dinner. And so I thought, you know what? Might as well just go on and do my vlog, because the only other thing I am going to do today that I could put in tomorrow's vlog is I am going to power wash the sidewalk. Now, I tried earlier today. I got the power washer out and hooked it up to the hose and all that. And then I turned it on and it wasn't powerful. And then I realized I didn't hear the engine, like the motor going, so I don't know. I guess it was on because water was coming out, but I'm wondering if there's some knob I didn't turn on. So I'm going to try it again tomorrow, and hopefully the water will come out forcefully and I can power wash the sidewalk. But I wasn't going to blog at all today. Vlog. I don't know why I'm saying blogging. I haven't blogged in a while. But, because last night's vlog, yesterday's vlog was, I think, very powerful, if I may say. Mind-provoking or thought-provoking and reflective. So if you haven't seen it, go back and see it. I named it Spooked in the Movie Theater and Getting Help from My Friends. So go back and check that out. And also, I am getting a lot of activity on a video that I made back in November of 2013 called Why Do People Hate Black Women, or something like that. A lot of activity, a lot of comments. Some of them are very well thought out comments. Some of them are very emotional, you know, and provocative. And people are upset. People are wounded and untrusting, and just a lot of just bad relationships going on. And you know what, though? If any of you or if any of you watch social media, well, I shouldn't say social media. I mean alternative media sources like Alex Jones, to name one. I watch him almost every day, or listen to him almost every day now. Initially I did not. I couldn't tolerate his enthusiasm, but he hits on too many good key points that, I don't know, that just made me really pay him more close attention.
AlexJonesPodcast.com.
Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
Well, I can tell you right now, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be a Friday transmission you don't want to miss. The news, the good, the bad, and the ugly is off the charts important. And quite frankly, riveting and sensational. I'm in a good focused mood.
And look, I don't agree 100% with Alex Jones. Okay, let's just get that straight. But I must say that when he mentions how we are being engineered, socially engineered to go at each other, to just disagree, argue, fuss fight, then I really am seeing that, evidence of that. I see that in the television programming and movie programming.
See, we're missing here. There's an ordered stand down, and they let them out at night. Just let them out in cities. They take them to churches and schools and then use that to infiltrate the people. They just dump them out and say, go to this welfare place. The trolley's right over there. The bus station's right over there. Here's your voucher. after busing them deeper in. That's the big kahuna. That's the big issue hiding in plain view. The Border Patrol's told you. ICE has told you. We've told you. It's confirmed. But the media, even Republican-dominated media, like Fox News, still acts like they don't know what's going on. But Sean Hannity last night had a guest on, Border Patrol agent Hector Garza, and he said, listen, the Border Patrol completes the smuggling process. And that's what I've been saying. That's what I was saying to the Border Patrol yesterday, shouting over Biggs, who was then repeating the questions. And again, I don't even blame the Border Patrol, but they're the people doing it. I get they don't want to do it. I get they know it's illegal. I know they're blowing the whistle. It doesn't matter. They're still following orders.
Yeah, something is to be said about that. I watched a video where the speaker, this Russian immigrant, was giving his testimony about Babylon. So he's sitting there on this rock, and this light comes to him, and he gets up to run, and then it engulfs him, and he's having a spiritual experience. And in this experience, this angel speaks to him and tells him to sit down or be still and pay attention to this prophecy that he was going to exchange, give him. And the prophecy was about Babylon falling. And the United States was revealed as Babylon in this vision, in this prophetic episode that this man had. And also in this episode, the man stated that the country would be overwhelmed at its southern borders by countries in Central America, South America, Mexico. He named Guatemala. He named the country. This was the testimony, mind you, was 30 years ago. So it ain't like he just said it. But the prophecy stated that the country borders would be overrun by the countries that are overrunning our borders now. This is a serious concern. It is a serious policy concern. It is not a racial concern. It is a serious policy concern. And if you look at the implications that it has, there are very many implications that it has. Some people may say, well, you're being disingenuous when you say you're concerned about the safety of the children who are being shipped unaccompanied. There are a lot of implications, you all. You don't have to agree with me. I am not speaking in terms of I don't want immigrants here. That is not what I'm saying. This has nothing to do with immigrants because I'm an immigrant. Y'all are immigrants. All of us here are immigrants. Everybody who is here immigrated came from somewhere else. But when you look at the policies, that's the concern. The reason, why are the borders unprotected and open? And why? What is it? Because we are so indebted to so many countries to where we have to just do whatever they say. The United States has become everyone's itch. And I'm not going to put the first letter in front, but you fill it in. Because the United States is indebted to Russia, to China, to Mexico. So many countries we owe money to, and the dollar is devalued, and Wall Street is inflated, and IMF president lady, whatever her name is, I can't think of her name right now, has come out with this speech that she has given, citing numerology as an answer or as the method for resetting the monetary system. I mean, come on, these people are, the IMF is International Money Foundation, whatever fund, and whatever it's called, International Monetary Fund, I don't know. So she's from France. I believe she's French speaking as her first language, but she was doing the speech in English. She paralleled numerology and the meaning of numbers and the significance of those numbers, almost as if she was giving a coded message. Now, if there's any way I can insert a clip of her either speaking it or for you to see it, I will insert it. If I can't do that, I will put the links below for you to go check it out. But you all, today's vlog is about this. America, we need to wake up. American citizens, first off, we need to grow up and stop being children. The adults, those of us who are adults in authoritative positions, have been pacified into a state of prolonged adolescence where we are behaving like high schoolers and we don't want to grow old. The responsibilities and the decision making and the problem solving and all of the thinking that goes with maturity, we need to display. Today's vlog is interesting. I am going to go and eat my sweet potato fries, and I am going to go be grateful for what God has blessed me with, and I'm going to encourage you to do the same, and you have a blessed day. See you, love you, bye.
Bloomberg Surveillance with Michael McKee and Tom Keene. On demand via our Bloomberg Radio Plus app. Free for iPhone and Android devices.
There's a lot of optimism in Davos. It's the first Davos in 5 years where there hasn't been a crisis, or there's no immediate crisis, where we're not firefighting. Is there a danger that we're too complacent about world growth and about the problems that go with it?
Yeah, complacency is a risk. It's one of them. But what we're seeing at the moment, to go along with the optimism that you referred to, we are seeing recovery in consolidation at the moment. That's, our analysis. But we're also seeing risks that should be of concern. We've got the old risks that are not all sorted out, and we have some new risks as well. And I'll be happy to expand on that. And essentially, what we believe is needed is a reset of the way in which the economy grows around the world. And I'll be happy to expand on that as well.
Please, let's start with the reset. How would you do it?
Well, I have to backtrack.
For the risks.
Yeah, because if you don't have a clear picture of what the risks are, it's difficult to see how you can reset. The risks are, you have as the old one, the financial stability, which is still an issue and can be an issue, especially if there are bubbles developing here and there. We have massive unemployment, north of 200 million people who do not have a job at the moment, and a growth rate that is going at too slow a pace to actually respond to the market needs in terms of job creation. And we have still an unbalanced growth. That is going at too slow a pace to actually respond to the market needs in terms of job creation. And we have still an unbalanced growth and uneven growth. Unbalanced, there has been some rebalancing, but we're not there yet. And the question is, will it last when the recovery does consolidate further? Now, in terms of new risks that we've seen, we have tapering, which is on the horizon, which is now beginning in the United States, and the spillover effects that it will have, particularly on the emerging market economies. And we have, and I'll be happy to explain also that, a low risk, but a risk there of potential deflation, particularly in Europe.
Do you see bubbles? Do you see bubbles that are ready to burst?
No, we don't see bubbles that are ready to burst at the moment. But I think what the crisis has taught us is that we need to be extremely vigilant and expect bubbles from places that we don't anticipate. So, there are markets that are hot at the moment, and no bubbles yet. But I think particularly the central bankers have to be extremely vigilant about certain developments.
You talk about deflation. This is a concern. Are you only concerned about it in Europe? Is Europe the new Japan, or is it something that can actually spread?
We see inflation rates in general a bit lower than where they are targeted by central bankers. Okay, and I don't think that anybody can challenge and argue with that. as a result of that, if it was to last, particularly in the euro area, there is a potential risk that long-term core inflation is also lowered. And that has consequences in terms of potential interest rates. It has a consequence in terms of the cost of debt and the burden of debt on sovereigns in particular, but on corporate as well, which have a heavy debt load. And in case there was a shock, which is something that we have to consider and imagine, not that it is in the cards yet, then we have the risk of deflation.
And so when you say we need to reset the world economy, how do you do that?
Okay. I think the reset is on multiple fronts. Number one, the financial sector regulatory environment has to be finalized and has to be constantly re-examined, revamped, and organized in such a way that it responds to the creativity of the financial markets. That's reset number one. Reset number two that we're seeing at play at the moment is a reset of the monetary policies by most central banks of the advanced economies. They've been going into unconventional territories. They've done a great job at keeping the crisis at the level where it was. But now gradually they're going to have to move to another monetary policy. I don't know whether it will be the old monetary policy, but it will certainly be different from what we have seen in terms of unconventional and use of quantitative easing tools and other instruments that they've used. I think there is also a need for reset in terms of the type of growth that is expected. And by that, clearly, policymakers are going to have to decide between the necessary level of fiscal consolidation, which particularly in the advanced economies is still needed at a reasonable pace, and the growth-friendly measures that will be needed in order to generate a job-rich growth. So that's a reset. I don't pretend to have all the clues for that, but I think that policymakers need to think about it, academics need to think about it, we all can contribute to that debate. And final reset is the structural reforms that we have been calling for, not just in the advanced economies, but also in the emerging market economies. Because what the monetary policy has procured, in a way, is space and time for the policymakers, for all the players, to actually reform the economy so that it unleashes the potential, because we are currently below potential on a global basis.
But that hasn't
happened. So that's the set of measures that could reset going forward.
Have policymakers, heads of states, actually taken the reform agenda to hand? Because it still seems that a lot of investors, and certainly the markets, think the central banks will be there for a very long time. They say, yeah, they will tighten, but this could come in a year. So for the moment, they're enjoying the happy times.
Well, I'm not sure it's happy, but it's certainly better than what it was. And the Fed, for instance, has begun tapering. It has not begun tightening, but it has begun tapering, and it's indicating under what terms it will do so. So it's in process, and it will take time. Some countries, some policymakers have actually reformed or begun to reform their economies. And I can think of, say, in the Eurozone, a country like Spain, for instance, that has certainly brought about some significant reforms of the labor market, of various other issues. A country like Mexico that has profoundly reformed some of its territories that were highly protected and made like turfs for those that had the benefit of the rent. Countries like, and I'm trying to pick different places, a country like India, for instance, needs to reform its infrastructure in particular in order to allow the economic energy and investment to settle in.
Bloomberg Surveillance, weekday mornings at 7 Eastern. In New York on Bloomberg 1130. In Boston on 1200 AM and 94.5 FM HD2. Or on Sirius XM Satellite Radio Channel 119. Copyright 2014. Bloomberg LP.